So welcome back to the 5th episode of the Twin Turbo Capri series. So today on the cards, really, it's going to be a case of get the engine back in. That bit of paint I showed back there last time, going to sort that out right away. And a few of the other bits of wiring and stuff in the bay. Really, because the ramp's needed next weekend for a gearbox swap on a stupid Mondeo, so yeah, I'll get the engine back in and then I can sort of follow back on and get back on with the brakes set up after that, really, which is hopefully tomorrow, but there's a bit more to it now, as you'll find out in the video. So yeah, I'm going to crack on with that in a minute and make some progress. So I'm not looking to do a proper job as such, I just want to make it a bit tidier for now, because as you'll gradually see throughout the project, the paintwork on the Capri is checked. Basically, the moral story for that one is don't listen to the previous owners of the car. When it's ready for paint, it's not ready for paint. It's actually been in primer on the road for 2 years, so it was never ready for paint. And don't pay someone peanuts to paint it. Either do it yourself and do a proper job of it, or pay someone decent to do it. Else you end up with this. So, I'm going to grind it back a minute, some bare metal, prime it, and then we'll just put a bit of paint on it. Nothing proper, but it'll do for now. So, the good thing is, it appears that my heater bubble here is actually pretty solid, which is nice, but you can kind of see there-ish all different layers of paint. So there's green paint, black paint, multiple different primers, refractory paint, and all sorts. Yeah. I don't know what happened to the car before I owned it, but it's had a bit of a history. This will literally just buy me some time before I get a chance to paint the engine bay and the rest of the car. Alright, we'll make a nice hard masking line. See, if I was spraying this wouldn't be any good because I'd end up with a nice hard line, but yeah, I'm not worried one bit. She's not pretty enough to care at the minute. Does it work? So this little bodge, I'm using the quartz spray primer. This stuff is an excellent 1K primer with adjustable fan and quite a nice high build on it. Again, obviously, what I'm doing here is not the proper way of doing this at all. This is just a patch. For now, it's not even a smart repair, it's just a bodge. So yeah. couple of light even coats. Let that one flash off and go again for a few times. So whilst that's flashing off, I've got some old mixed up paint from Capri. It's not even actually the right shade, but the spirit of this build, it will do. So, this particular Cosworth paint is a 3:1 to that 1 mixing ratio, I think, on the 2K side of things. So we've got some hardener, some paint, and some 2K universal thinners. I only want to mix up a tiny amount of this paint. So if I go for about 40ml-ish, whatever the minimum I get away with doing is. Won't take much. So that's about 40ml, so we need about another 13ml-ish. With hardener on top and a bit of thinners, so we'll guess that in there. Oh god. This is rusty or what, but colours have just changed. Screw it, sending it anyway. So, add a bit of mix. Splash of 2K thinners. And we have some almost Capri coloured paint. So, filter, old DeVille GTI with a T110 air cap. And we'll wave them in there. I've set up my baby little silent compressor over there, so we'll see what happens there. Sorry if you can hear a bunch of wind and rain, it's cool, normal. As you can see, I've also sort of peeled back the mask tape a bit to get rid of some of the hard edge, but again, I really don't care too much about that. So, we'll adjust the spray pattern and fluid down for our first coat. And pressure at about 2 bar. That's good. Right, a little half coat of that. Right. And I'll do that. Wait for it to tack off and try again. With the wiring modified for the fan and the wiring slightly modified up there as well, ready for, I'm not going to say much yet, but the part of the vacuum system for the brakes, with that sort of sorted and the engine bay tidied up enough for the engine to go back in. I now need to crack on and do a bit more soldering. So I'm not going to say too much, that'll be for the next video because it's going to contain computer work and all sorts. but I want to make this fitting here, like a vacuum takeoff. So in the spirit of all the copper, I'm just going to watch it and do it that way. So, seems to be the easiest. Obviously not all these pipes are meant to go together. It's a 6mm pipe wedged in an 8mm in a 8mm elbow, which has then been slightly expanded to fit into a 10mm T. So I'll have a go at soldering all them up. Like I say, I'm not a plumber, Sparky, so if it doesn't work, don't blame me. I didn't know any better. But we're going to solder that up, get that ready to go, get that fitted on the car, and then that'll be ready for the next episode where I sort of dive into the new bits on the brake vacuum system. So then after this, I think it's time to get the engine back in, which will be nice. So yeah, I'm going to crack on with that, and I'll see you in a minute. So welcome back, it's a new day today. With the brake vacuum stuff now on hold until the next video, the engine bay, although that is now, is ready for the engine to go back in. Engine and engine crane. So get the rear oil seal done, get the clutch and all that, put that together on it, and then drop the engine in, and with any luck, I want to be driving it by this afternoon. So providing there's no issues, no big leaks or anything like that should all be possible. So I'll crack on and see what happens. Right, so 6 episodes later, and we've got an engine ready to go back in again. I hope anyway, we'll find out. As usual, she's looking rather pretty. Into his mess. So, I'm pretty used to this now, so it shouldn't be very difficult. So I'll over in and see what happens. So this thing's been throwing nothing but hell at me all day. Put the engine in should be simple, but as you may have seen by the time lapse, it was a bit of a pig. Mainly because I'd slightly stropped it up on an angle, so it wouldn't sit in there properly, and then the oil filter is very, very tight, taking it in out of the bay with the steering column. And that was an absolute nightmare. And then the gearbox, you can see, was being a bit of a prick as well. And then I get it back together, so just check for fuel leaks before I do anything more. And of course, the 2 lines I hadn't taken off under plenum to the fuel rail, the hose clips had failed, and they were pissing fuel. So I've had to go in there and take all this apart without ripping everything apart, which was another nightmare. So I've had an afternoon of it. But I think she's now ready to be fired up. And if she fires up and runs right, which she should do, of course, then chuck some coolant in her, a bit of power steering fluid, and take it for a drive, and maybe a wash as well. So we'll see what happens.
Alright, let's see what happens.
So as she runs, got some ATF to put in the power steering system, so I can do that. And then, because I run without coolant for a while last year, I've got a rusty brown residue throughout the system. It's not affecting anything really, but I kind of want it gone, just for cleanliness purposes. So, as you see, got around is rusty brown. So I've got some proper radiator cleaner in it, but it doesn't specify anything like rust, and I do happen to have a load of white vinegar sitting around. So I'm going to do the white vinegar trick. It may sound rough, but plenty of people do it. I'm going to shove it through that. I'm going to do a few drives on the white vinegar, get the system completely cleaned out, run the flush through it on top of that to be safe as well then after, and then fill it up with water and Volvo excavator coolant, because why not? I'm actually doing odd parts on the car. Yeah. Give us a go, innit? Let's fire up again and see. Thanks. Right, so now that the engine works, I'll take on a quick drive. It's gone dark outside annoyingly, so I'll try film, but I don't know what's going to happen with that. So yeah, well, that's sorted. Obviously I've got no vacuum switch yet, because that's coming in the next video, so I've just added this in. There'll give me some vacuum for the brakes from my car. So we'll try that and see what happens on the drive then, see if it breaks down at all. But that was a better end to a rather shit day. So she's working. Yay! So many other things to do now. The result of it working, I've got this shithole to tidy up at some point. Before next weekend, ideally. So yeah. If you happen to have enjoyed the content in this video, and want to see what's up next, and have a look at, well, the other projects and plenty more fails, of course, then why not post a comment, say what you think. Drop a video a like, and even subscribe. Yeah, until then, I'll see you next time.